In November of 2023, the Swell Pod took a 10-day journey across 5 states, traveling 3,580 miles with one challenge in mind.
And that challenge was to interview 100 pleasantly rebellious humans to uncover deep truths about what it takes to create something that has never existed before, challenge the status quo, maybe even change the world.
This is the Kiln Road Trip, created and produced by the Swell Pod.
In partnership with Kiln, Moterra Camper Vans, and sponsored by Taurus.
I'm Spencer McEwen.
And I'm Josh Taylor, and together we're the co-hosts of the Swell Pod and your guides on the Kiln Road Trip. Follow along on the journey.
Be sure to subscribe to the podcast, follow the Swell Pod on social media, and subscribe to your YouTube channel at, you guessed it, the Swell Pod.
This is interview 58 of the Kiln Road Trip, and today we're at Kiln Meridian in Idaho talking with Andrea Sorensen. Andrea is the founder and CEO of Liiingo. Liiingo creates QR codes that are built for businesses. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. We hope you enjoy. Hi, Andrea.
Hey.
Thank you for joining us on the Swell Pod for the Kiln Road Trip, where we're on a journey to interview 100 different pleasantly rebellious people, and you are one of those 100, so we're excited to have you.
That is a great descriptor, pleasantly rebellious.
For sure. Yeah.
Yes. Perfect.
But thank you. We appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can, just introduce yourself and tell us what you do and why you do that, why you're passionate about it.
Yeah, my name is Andrea Sorensen, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Liiingo. And pleasantly rebellious.
Yeah.
Liiingo is a very disruptive company. We have a patented technology. We are disrupting the traditional way that QR codes are used. Right now, it's kind of like a roulette where you have a different experience every time you scan a code. And with our technology, it's a consistent, excellent, relevant experience, and it can deliver the content in multiple languages. And so that's the platform that we've built, and the software that we are now evolving from Liiingo into a partnership called Vision, where we are partnering our patented technology with a patented enterprise level blockchain. And we'll be able to do even more disruptive things with that.
I have a lot of questions about the partnership.
Yes.
Can you help me understand, I guess, so I think you kind of hinted at it already, but the problem that led to what Liiingo is, like, so as it relates to just the origins of that, and I guess any pain points that were actually experienced to be able to go off and say, yeah, we're going to create this thing.
Yeah, I'm an accidental entrepreneur. I did not intend to do this. I'm a process engineer. And so typically what that means is that you look at an organization holistically. You look at the structure and the systems that they use, and the people and the incentives, everything, to look at how are we accomplishing our goals, and what do we need to change to be able to do that. And loved that. Typically stayed in large organizations. One day I was walking with my sister-in-law through the zoo, and looking at the signs in front of each of the exhibits, and we happened to have my stepbrother with us who is deaf, and there was a family near us who spoke Spanish, and I just became acutely aware of how different their experience was, because they didn't have access to the information in their language, and it just felt very obvious. The solution seemed very obvious. Put a QR code on there and let the QR code deliver the information in multiple languages. And I actually started looking for the solution, couldn't find it. It felt very, very obvious. Couldn't find the solution, and felt compelled to build it. And that was the origin of Liiingo, was to increase access and inclusivity for everyone to be able to access the information in the moment, and to be able to have the same experience being served that someone else near them has. And then that has, of course, evolved. At this point, one of the main things we focus on is it's called connected packaging. So you see QR codes everywhere. QR codes are the most rapidly adopted technology in the world. And yet the experience is really crappy. Scan a code and every time it's different. And so what we're focusing on is putting codes on products where you can scan that code, get specific information about that product in your language. That helps businesses that are exporting their their products to different countries.
Yeah.
And because even within the US, there's 20% that are speaking another language at home, have a different preferred language. And so how do we make our experiences and our information more accessible to a more diverse and a more mobile audience?
Yeah, it's really interesting. And so I guess this is a completely separate QR code. It doesn't work with any other QR code companies. It's not like an API that plugs into, or you're plugging into various different, you are your own QR code. And I'm imagining the experience is somewhat of choosing the specific language as you scan the code, but help me understand what that experience is like.
So actually what's interesting about it is it leverages one of the key things to successful disruption, right, is it has to be easy. And so you scan our codes the same way you scan every other code. You can use the camera on your device, you scan the code, but then what happens is different.
Yeah.
Then what happens is that Liiingo detects the language on your device and then delivers the content in your language. So you don't have to navigate through a language that you don't know or don't understand or you're not as familiar with, and then change the setting or find out if it's even available. It's just all of those extra steps. And that's really critical because now we're so used to having what we need at our fingertips. And if it's too many steps, then we abandon and we leave. And so that's what's happening with businesses is if there's too many steps between them and their customer's experience, then their customer will abandon and leave. And those become silent. You don't even know what you've lost, right? And so if we can reduce those steps and be able to serve in a single tap, you've now delivered in the moment relevant information in someone's language. Look at all of the layers that you've skipped, that it just feels like an intuitive, natural experience. And for the user, they don't even know. They just get the information. This is a tool for businesses to be able to deliver in that moment. And for the user, it's just an intuitive experience delivered under the business's brand. They don't even need to know. And because it's irrelevant. And now what happens with the blockchain, this is where things get really interesting. Think about what's happening now, well, and probably always, in terms of the special requirements that everyone has about the food that you eat. Are you gluten-free? Do you have to have food that hasn't been processed in a facility with nuts, right? Do you like, I won't eat artificial sugars. I read something about how bad that is for you, right? So I want to be able to scan a code and have my profile say, here's what I need or what I will and won't, and have it tell me if that product meets my profile. And that's where we're heading with our new company, which is called Vision. Liiingo is with 3 I's, and Vision also with 3 I's, VIIISION. Yes.
For some reason, I can picture you wearing your Ray-Bans, where Ray-Bans have got a camera.
Yes.
The new Ray-Bans. Where you're walking through a supermarket. Maybe it's even just kind of flagging to you in the corner of your eye the products that are actually exactly what you need, aligns with your whatever it is, whether it's your preferences are. And interesting. So many questions now.
I don't fully understand the blockchain component. Can you help me understand that a little bit better?
I sure can. The blockchain, the thing that's so beautiful about the blockchain, often when we think blockchain, we think like cryptocurrency. So instead of thinking that, think along the distributed ledger, which means once you put data in, you can prove that was the data that was put in 5 years ago or whenever it was. And the problem is that other blockchains don't have the capacity for large amounts of data. The blockchain that we have was originally designed and developed by Disney. They put $50 million into it. And that is what we have exclusive right to be able to gather granular information from all of the suppliers of the ingredients of a product, and then be able to combine that, leveraging our patent for content delivery, like variable content delivery. We can assemble all that content so that you can know these ingredients, where did they come from? What was their environmental footprint? What is their nutritional, this is where it's going, right? So then as our clients adopt we call it the vault, which is where they store that granular information and they can share that, then that can be passed through to the end consumer and you can have real information that you can trust. Right now, we struggle with greenwashing. We can't trust.
100%.
Right. It's like, okay, what does it mean? I would love to see a video of the chickens, right, that lay the eggs, because I have so little trust. And what I imagine is chickens in a barn with one door open and all the chickens are stacked. And that's what it means now to be cage free. I don't know that. But, that's what we worry about is we're using buzzwords without really knowing what it means. What if we really could know?
Yeah.
So this is a big play on trust.
This is a big play on trust.
I mean, obviously, there are some listeners that actually don't know anything about blockchain, so this might go over their heads, right? But all they really care about is their ability to be able to trust, deeply trust, and just know that this is actually a good thing, and it's a ethical product or a food, and you're selling to the businesses, right?
Yes.
Yes. But
yeah, and it's huge too, because you're exactly right. It's about trust and transparency, which helps businesses be rewarded for doing the right thing, and it also helps surface when they aren't. So here's the other thing that's cool about that is that as you have more transparency through the supply chain, you know what else you uncover is you also uncover where there may be unethical practice related to labor. And for example, with human trafficking, about 90% of that is in labor, and a good amount of that is within the food supply chain. So as we do this, even though that isn't our direct thing, it's a byproduct, we'll be shining light on the whole supply chain, which will help to be able to have us know where our food comes from and to be able to support businesses that have ethical practices for regenerative practices for the environment, as well as really good practices for people and communities.
That's a big vision.
Yeah.
So,
it is.
not the easiest subject to understand if you don't understand that world, but actually it's pretty simple if you from a consumer perspective.
Yes.
Where do we go? Because I know we want to ask about challenges.
Yeah, let's ask about. I think it'd be interesting to know. So, I guess where do you think you'll be in 3 years with Vision and Liiingo?
Right. In 3 years, we will have our products are already built. And we're currently in a fundraising round. It's going pretty quickly, actually, where we're raising funds for the combination of these two products. And what that does is it brings the data and makes it visible through the platform that I've already built, right, with Liiingo. And so within 3 years, I anticipate we will have codes on our products, right? And we'll be able to, as consumers, we will be able to vote with our dollars. We'll be able to know what we are supporting when we buy something, and that we will flip the model from advertising, which pushes products at us, to more our vote, where we say what is important to us, and we have a way of being able to communicate that to businesses. So at that point, I mean, we already have the technology built. We have the vault, we have the consumer connection, and now it is about scaling and go to market. So, which already those are both commercialized. Now it is becoming much larger, and that's cool too, because bringing it back to Kiln, you know, there's real significant impact that is being incubated within these offices. We are right there in that center office, which is cool because it's the spot everyone can see, in our business name is Vision, right? Yeah. But it's right here in the midst of all of these businesses that we are launching, you know, a business that is going to have a global impact. In fact, my partner right now is on a business call with about 70 different agencies that are all associated with the UN, trying to find how can they have more transparency with the businesses to be able to support regenerative and ethical practices. And so within 3 years, Vision will be a name that as consumers will know, and as businesses will use to be able to simply track their data and then to be able to make that transparent. an important thing around that too is that the part of the reason this hasn't been done before is that you can't just throw the door open to all data, right? You have to be able to protect trade secrets. You have to be able to, and with the blockchain that we have and the software that we've built, we have very granular permissions. So it's like, here's what we pass through, but you can trust it because it hasn't been like copied and changed and adapted for you as the audience.
Yeah.
You're not being manipulated.
You've created something that didn't exist before here, for sure, Josh.
Yes.
Why 3 eyes?
So the 3 eyes in Liiingo initially stood for inclusivity and individual experience and insight. Now with vision, and we're still deciding on what the 3 eyes are, but insight is definitely in there. Yeah. Innovation is in there, and likely inclusivity as well. I mean, this is just feels that still way. Huge. Yeah.
That's amazing.
So this is broad impact.
And how is Kiln, what's been Kiln's role in helping you grow or helping you be the company that you need to be, I guess?
Yeah, it has been critical for us in terms of having a place that was flexible as we have evolved. When I first came to Kiln, I was Liiingo, right? I had not even met my partner that, my partners that are joining me in Vision. I had not even met them. And so I started in a 4 office and then moved to the 8 and then moved to the 18 and then moved to the center spot.
That's amazing.
And so what's been so cool is that Kiln has evolved with my business and my business size and my team size, and the flexibility of several of my staff are remote or hybrid. And so it allows that flexibility of coming in and leaving. The other thing that's really big for me is I love the really early morning, and I love that it's open 24 hours. Yeah. I feel completely safe, and so this has been a perfect incubating environment for the energy and the flexibility for a business like mine.
Yeah. Before we get into the rest of the episode, we want to thank the partners and sponsors who made the Kiln Road Trip possible. The Kiln Road Trip is brought to you by Kiln. Kiln is a boutique co-working and flex office community with 13 locations in 6 states across the West, dedicated to providing innovative workspaces that empower your team to thrive. Whether you're a solo visionary or an enterprise-level team of up to 100, Kiln transcends being merely a place to work. It's a hub for learning and connecting with like-minded professionals that will make you and your team love where you work.
And if you haven't stepped foot inside a kiln yet, you really need to. On this road trip, we visited every single location, and trust us when we say once you see these beautifully designed spaces, meet the talented team, and connect with fellow members, you won't want to work anywhere else.
Locations include Utah, Colorado, Idaho, Oregon, California, and Arizona. And they're growing too, with multiple locations set to open in 2024.
Yeah, so be sure to check out the Kiln locations nearest you by booking a tour at kiln.com and answer Swell in the question, how did you hear about us? Once you complete the tour, you'll be entered into a competition where you could win a 1-year membership, their club membership at Kiln.
Yep, you heard that. That's kiln.com, book a tour, and be sure to mention Swell in the question, how did you hear about us?
The Kiln Road Trip is also brought to you by Moterra Campervans, a luxury campervan rental company for iconic road trips. Their top-of-the-line vans are available at 7 locations located near America's best outdoor adventure destinations. They have consistently earned the highest customer ratings in the industry, making Moterra Campervans your gateway to adventure without sacrificing on comfort or service.
That's true, and initially we wanted to take this journey in a 1960s VW bus, but thankfully we found Moterra instead. With 3 van options, we took the Pop Top Classic, which sleeps 4 and is best for those who want to maximize floor space and storage. This was critical for us because it needed to sleep the entire crew, we needed space to edit, and we were traveling with large amounts of equipment, luggage, and other goodies that we picked up along the way.
And this van took us through all 3,580 miles of the trip. Super comfortable and sweet to drive.
And actually, Moterra offers fully planned itineraries if you'd rather leave the planning to someone else.
Visit gomoterra.com/swell. That's gomoterra.com/swell.
This episode is also brought to you by Taurus. Taurus is leading the charge in home energy storage. Taurus makes it easy to achieve energy independence and a greener tomorrow. The Taurus station provides everything you need to generate clean power, efficiently store electricity, and easily manage your energy use.
And installing a Taurus station offers plenty of benefits, including save money on your electricity bill,
Also, ensure energy security with backup power during outages.
reduce carbon emissions with renewables,
You can also automate EV charging and HVAC systems with 100% renewables.
and enjoy unrivaled system monitoring and support.
If you like the sound of those benefits, get a quote to build your Taurus station in less than 30 seconds. Super easy at taurus.co. That's TORUS.co. Now, let's get back to the episode. So
Last
we have
question.
the last question. I do want to say I really appreciate everything that you've talked about today. I think it's probably even inspired a question that we probably should have been asking all along.
Yeah.
Like, why hasn't this been done before?
Yes.
I love how you phrased that, and it completely opened me up, I think, a little bit more to what you're working on. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, for sure. So the last question, you want to go for it?
Yeah, I mean, advice. You've created something that didn't exist before.
Yes.
And I'm not sure how many other people are trying to copy it or follow you, or I'm not sure about that one. Another question for another day. But what's your advice to others that are trying to create something that didn't exist before?
One of the things that has really struck me in this experience is that I was I didn't realize this. I was perfectly prepared to do the thing that I'm doing now, right? I wouldn't have known that when I started. I would never have started out and said, hey, I'm going to start a software company and I'm going to combine variable content delivery with blockchain and I'm going to do these things. But what happens is you gain experience doing the things that you're doing them well and learning, then keep your eyes open for how you can use your unique combination of skills and abilities to impact and help. And I never imagined that I might be able to have this type of impact or this kind of contribution. And it's humbling and it's exciting to be able to do something at this scale. So that would be my experience, is that each person has unique experiences and a unique combination of skills and experiences that they bring, and to be open to how do you best now, where you are right now, how do you best deploy what you have to impact the world? And it may not be continuing on with the path that you were on. I loved what I did before I started Liiingo, but this has a level of impact that in my current or in my previous positions, it did not offer. And it took risk and it took courage, but I would just challenge everyone to ask themselves that question, to say, how do you individually contribute? Because somehow you are uniquely prepared for impact.
Thanks for tuning in to today's episode of the Kiln Road Trip. Be sure to follow along on the rest of the journey, and you can do that in two ways. One, subscribe to the podcast, whether you're listening on Apple, Spotify, or maybe even watching on YouTube, and follow along on all of our social media platforms, whether you're on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or TikTok, at the Swell Pod. Thanks again, and we'll see you in the next episode.